I'm Kahja Elliott, and I'm a food enthusiast. Bronx born and raised, ATL made, Bay Area becoming. And I talk to people about how they create community through food in the Bay and beyond. Welcome to the As Told By podcast. Welcome to this week's episode of the As Told By podcast. You know, sometimes this podcast takes me places near and far, and today I'm just over the moon excited. We are going to jump right in. I'm here in Chelsea, Michigan, with a trusted name in baking for nearly a century, with their iconic little blue box that's become a symbol of comfort, connection, and tradition. This company has helped generations of families create warm, delicious memories together. Their mission is to provide consumers with the best possible value, and I am absolutely 1,000% a huge fan and consumer of the brand. I'm so excited to be here in Chelsea at the Chelsea Milling Company, but you know and love them as Jiffy Mix. And if you're like me, they've been supplying you with delicious and convenient baked goods all of your life. And I have the absolute pleasure today of talking with the president and CEO, Howdy Holmes.
Well, thank you. I do have to admit that I'm not the president and CEO anymore.
Okay.
I have been for 35 years, and 4 years ago, I passed the presidency on to another Howard S. Holmes. The second happens to be our son. And then last January, he picked up the CEO position. So my business card reads Cultural and Strategic Advisor.
I love that.
Yeah, I like that stuff.
Evolving.
Well, you know, family businesses are pretty crazy, and only 26% make it to the second generation, which means 74% fail to get to the second generation. Mm-hmm. So we're lucky that you know, he's qualified and able, and he happens to be our son. That's the biggest part, you know, from as a person. But as a business guy, I couldn't hire a family member if they weren't qualified. Just wouldn't work.
Okay, so no Nepo babies here. Everyone is qualified.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. I'm first of all,
but
thank you.
he said I could. I was with him last night. He said I could talk with you, though.
Okay, look, we have his approval. We need that. He's the president and CEO.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me come out here. I'm sitting in your production facility, your main offices. This is like a Willy Wonka experience. This might as well be the chocolate factory.
I haven't heard that one before.
Look, the first time for everything. Well, let's jump in.
Yep.
You mentioned that this is a family company, and if I'm correct, there are 5 generations of the family, or has it gone on now to be 6 involved in running this mill?
Well, it's a little bit confusing. If you talk about family history, we started as flour millers, and we can go back to 1844. So we've been around. It would be this. My son would be the 7th generation in flour milling. He's the 4th generation under the brand Jiffy Mix. So it depends on whether we're talking about the brand, which didn't sort of show up until 1930. And my grandmother's the one that started, made the first mixed product ever, and introduced it in April of 1930. And so we're kind of a mixture of things, but really our beginnings were flour milling.
Okay, in the 1800s. So talk a little bit about how your family came to start in the milling business prior to it becoming the mix.
Well, I wasn't there to observe it, I can tell you that.
I would be afraid of you if you had been.
Right. Well, okay. If you think about communities that were beginning to form back in those days, it was very common to have a flour mill and maybe even a wood mill, because the town needs to be built and people need to eat. So flour mills were everywhere in the 1800s, and as it turns out, my great and my great grandfathers had flour milling business in just down the road in a little community.
So this was a business of opportunity and necessity, it sounds like, at the times.
Well, really, my great-grandfather came from Dexter at the age of 17 in 1872. And he was an entrepreneur guy, got involved in all kinds of businesses, the bank, had a mercantile business, and so on. And there was a flour mill here at the time, in the late 1800s. What made it sort of different was it wasn't powered by water, right? So it was a steam-powered flour mill. Well, Harmon bought out the rest of the investors in the late 1800s and renamed the then flour mill by the name of Chelsea Roller Mills to Chelsea Milling Company in early 1901. And so, the flour milling business continues. And then it was my grandmother who married her next door neighbor here in Chelsea, whose their family business was flour milling as well.
Okay.
I mean, it was really popular back in those days. It was not uncommon that many family members were involved in flour milling. And she's the one that invented our first product. In fact, the very first mixed product ever. And there's a little story behind that, if I may.
I would love to hear it.
So she had two children, identical twin boys, and as they were born in 1913, but in the early 1920s, as they were growing up here in Chelsea, they had a friend in the neighborhood who was being raised by a single parent. It happened to be a father. Well, the twins asked their buddy to come over for lunch one day, and keep in mind that this is like 1926 or 27. He was a little reluctant to come over because his dad had made him a lunch, right? A bag lunch. Well, he finally decided, yeah, okay, I'll come over. So they went over to Mabel's house and had lunch, and Mabel, knowing that this young man was being raised by a single parent, the father, she was curious to see what this dad had made her son. Well, she waited until the boys had finished lunch and went outside to play, and then she kind of took a sneak peek into this bag lunch. And she said right on top was this white biscuit. She said it looked more like a hockey puck than a biscuit, but she was, now this is where we can get in trouble, but she said she was just so overwhelmed that this man had, and men don't cook much now, but this is 1926, 27. She was so impressed that this father took time to make biscuits, keeping in mind that everything was done from scratch, flour, soda, pinch of this and a cup of that and so on, that she thought, wouldn't it be nice to come up with a product that would save people time in the kitchen and be so easy, even a man could do it. So I know you can appreciate that. And I didn't. That's not my quote. That's my grandmother's quote.
Okay.
So we're safe, I hope. And she, took about 7 years, and we were, in the flour milling business at the time, and she introduced this product in April of 1930, and it was the very first baked mix product ever.
Off to the races.
Off to the races. A woman at that, 1930, unbelievable.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you about, because in my research, I understand that she went on to be in the role of the president of the company. And at that time, I'm sure that was, for the most part, unheard of.
Unheard of, right. I fortunately had many opportunities to speak with her, and with two boys, Mabel and the two boys instantly lost their father, that Howard Samuel Holmes, in an accident here at Chelsea Milling Company. And so immediately she had to step in. She had these two boys. They were seniors in college at the time.
Okay.
she, how do you choose between one son or the other, identical twins? So she thought, well, okay, so one of them will be president one year, and then they switch and stuff. Well, she learned pretty quickly that didn't work out very very well.
Pick one.
Yeah, and so we'll never know whether they were going to come into the business after college or not. But they did their very best to keep out of each other's hair, and made an incredible start to what was, Chelsea Milling Company and the brand Jiffy Mix. So there's always stories behind every product, every invention.
And fascinating ones.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
I love this. Can you tell how invested I am in this story? I love these behind the scenes, how this thing that we all know came to be.
Well, I guess, like I said, there's always stories. You don't get to hear them, And being a woman in 1930 and introducing basically a product that started a whole industry, unbelievable. And so the boys ran the place. My uncle oversaw the raw material ingredient acquisition, and my father did sales and marketing. And our second product was pie crust that came out in 1940, and then corn muffin mix in 1950. So we were breaking all the kind of business rules, in the sense that if you have one product every 10 years, well, you're not exactly flooding the market, right?
Yes.
But they've all worked, so
yes,
we're happy campers.
Well, you mentioned that her sons came in to help her, and one of those sons, if I understand, there's lots of Holmes. I get the feeling this is
Right.
a large family, but if I'm following the tree correctly, one of those twin sons was your father, who had a career previous to being involved with this company as a race car driver?
No, that actually was me.
Oh, that was you.
Yeah. Now, my father enjoyed the fact that, well, as a father, he probably didn't like it at all. Neither did my mom. But you know what? To both of their credit, they never once tried to discourage me. So, yeah, I was the race car driver. That's what I did before I came back here.
Wow. How did you decide? I mean, could not be more different. Race car driving and milling.
They're total opposites. I am the eldest of 5 kids. So the one thing we did as a family, other than Christmas, was we went to the Indy 500. Now, there's no history of race cars or driving before me, but it was, Indianapolis 500 is a pretty big deal. 400,000 people there, Memorial Weekend, a big military presence, all, rah, 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 America, in the heartland of the USA. And it's pretty hard not to be overwhelmed by all the pomp and circumstance and stuff. I didn't really know anything about racing and when I started. And I guess I was just enamored. It was like a fantasy, So I was 9 when I saw my first race, and by the time I was 16, I had said to my mom and dad, while we were sitting in the stands, I'm going to be a race car driver. They went, yeah, sure. And as it turns out, they built a Michigan International Speedway very close to in Brooklyn, which is about 45 minutes from here. This is in the mid-'60s, and they offered a private driver's school. So anybody within 50 miles got this brochure, fancy 6-color brochure, and we got one, and that kind of brought back all of these, this racing history as a child. And I went to the school, and it lasted one summer, and I was hooked. I was a junior in college, and so I did the right thing. I dropped out of college, of course, and wanted to I was going to be a race car driver. Didn't know how I was going to be one, but I did. I ordered a set of tools through a catalog for $69.95. Built a homemade trailer with an old friend, and And the guys here at Chelsea Milling Company built me a 12 by 20 foot plywood garage in the corner of one of our warehouses, and that's the way I started. I won't bore you to tears with this whole thing, but no experience, and this is late 60s and early 70s, and motor racing, especially road racing, there were no newspaper writers, or there was no way to find how you find your way in racing. You just make mistakes and
figure it out.
So I ended up with a great career and went to Europe and South America and all kinds of things. Wrote a book about race car driving and how to get sponsorship, and was ESPN's first color commentator on television, and had a marketing business and an advertising business, and all of these things, what frankly I wasn't really qualified to do, but that's the way you learn. You get determined and you don't give up. And I should tell you that before I started racing, I was 6'3". Do you believe that? Come on, you can believe this.
Okay. I'm going to believe it because you told me. Yes.
Well, I shouldn't have. Yeah. No, I never had a future in playing basketball.
Okay.
I'm the little guy.
That's
So
okay.
it was so 20 years in that business. I always knew I was going to come back to Chelsea Milling Company, but and I was so lucky to follow this boyhood dream. And you said it. These two businesses, Chelsea Milling Company and racing, are total opposites. In the racing world, emotions will kill you. In a family business, it's all about emotion. So when I came back here in November, of '87, there was a significant amount of family conflict. I'm going to be careful here, even though a lot of it's public knowledge.
Okay.
And, to our employees and, frankly, to some family members, I was a, quote, race car driver. And what do race car drivers know about business? Well, the answer is a lot, as it turns out. And it got pretty ugly-wise, for our family and for our employees and so on. And I had, as I said, had been 20 years in racing, so I had to learn how to reinvent myself to deal with all this emotion stuff, especially the family stuff, which was uncomfortable for all of us, and it played out in front of employees, which is not a lot of fun.
Yeah. I don't know why this makes me think of a show called Succession. Have you ever heard of it?
I've heard of it, but I don't think that I've ever seen, stories of succession, right?
Okay.
I'm guessing. Yeah. I have a passion now for family businesses because we made it through somehow. And whenever there's a biological connection with someone, it's virtually impossible to have an objective conversation.
You are so true. Trust me, I know.
I think everybody can kind of relate to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there you go. That's me.
All right. So that's how you ended up here. Now, we've been talking about your family as it pertains to the business, but this is like a signature question that I typically will ask guests. And I'm interested in your answer because you're in the business of food. But if we take the business out of it, what kind of food family is the Holmes family? Is it holidays together? Is it everyone's in the kitchen cooking, or you have like two cooks that everyone knows? This is who you go to when you want amazing home cooked meals. What was the environment like growing up?
Typical Midwesterners, meat and potatoes.
Okay.
And yes, we always got together for holidays, and that was fun. But that's a great question. My mom was the one that always did the cooking, and I wasn't a cook. My dad wasn't a cook, and in those days, the roles of men and women were very different than they are now. And in fact, it's so different and so sacred that you don't dare even talk about how things change for men or for women, and we spend so much time trying to figure out how equal we are, and why don't we just get over that and say we're not equal? Let's respect the differences, right? So in those days, men weren't expected to do any parenting. They were working 7 days a week. That's that greatest generation, and nowadays men cook. It's not at all unusual, and women, often are the breadwinners and so on. So it depends on which period you're involved in.
Yeah.
It's guaranteed one thing is that there'll be some changes, good, bad, and indifferent.
If
always.
there's nothing else, there will be changes.
You have a nice voice.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So, I mentioned that I'm here in you all's facility, and I talked about your customer mission when I introduced you, but you also have a company mission for the folks who work here, which is to achieve 100% product integrity with quality people caring about one another and the communities served. So what has been this company's focus in hiring the kind of people who you feel will embody that mission? Because I heard, and please correct me if I'm wrong, y'all have never ever laid anyone off. So this seems like the kind of company where people come and they're here for the long haul.
I think you find that often a big distinction between privately held companies and publicly held companies. Mm-hmm. Privately held companies, their vision is for the long term. Mm-hmm. Publicly held companies who have to report, progress every quarter. Mm-hmm. It's kind of short-term thinking. Really, my grandmother wanted to come up with a product, as I said, was so save people time in the kitchen, and so since we've been around for 95 years as a brand. In the beginning, most of the people that worked here were local folks, from Chelsea, mm-hmm. many of which were farmers and so on. Well, when I came back in '87, things hadn't changed a great deal, but the company was in trouble, and I could see it. Others couldn't see it. I couldn't understand why they didn't see it. Mm. And so my contribution, I guess, was to take a 100-year-old company at the time and turn it into a professionally run organization. So that was the beginning of change here, drastic change at Chelsea Milling Company. Mm-hmm. And, of course, that wasn't exactly welcomed by everybody. And within an 18-month period of me returning here, I had left racing, and I had a 5-year exit plan that was working. I'd gotten married and had a child and came back to Chelsea Milling Company, and everything went crazy, right? So I had to find a way, honestly, to reinvent myself mm-hmm. from this no emotions allowed racing business to this family business, which is all about emotions. Mm-hmm. So I like to say that one of the wonderful things about Chelsea is its proximity to Ann Arbor.
Okay, yes.
And the reason is because there's a therapist on every corner. So I had to learn how to reinvent myself. So I got involved in therapy and focus groups and so on, and it worked wonders.
Good for you.
Throughout that process, I came up with this idea of, look, if I can reinvent myself, and I didn't have to, why can't anybody else? Mm-hmm. So we started to hire people. 70% of our hiring decision was based on personality, character, integrity, and honesty. And only 30% was determined by whatever task he or she was going to do.
Okay. So,
and, lots of determination, personality tests, and, and how do you find out what a person's really like? When you think about interviewing, mm-hmm. it's a play, right? The interviewers want to, sound like they're in control or look like they're in control. The interviewee wants to show their best. And it's a bit of
A dance.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was going to call it ping pong, but I'll go with dance.
Yeah.
Well, so this was sort of a very new process. A lot of companies say that they value their people, but they don't really. They don't show it. It doesn't matter what people say. It matters what people do. So we're like 37 years into this process now, and when we walk around here, you decide for yourself, but it's a happy place. If you think about it, 40 hours a week or 8 hours a day you spend at work. That's a lot. More time at work than with your family.
Yes.
So why not make it worthwhile? So one of the things that we do is we interest people into personal growth. Well, personal growth is a wonderful thing, except it's scary because
It's change.
well, it's change. You're right. And the Lord gave us the ability to reason. The problem with the ability to reason is we want to know how it's going to end up before we start, and it doesn't work that way.
You'll reason your way right out of things, won't you?
Right. Oh, yeah. So we encourage, personal growth, and I don't mean just, get better at whatever task you do. We do that too. It's like, how are you going to grow as a person? And so we have a real different onboarding system. It's 2 or 3 months where whether it's an hourly person or a salary person, they work in every department that we have. And this is our global headquarters.
Okay.
We do absolutely everything. We store wheat, we mill that into flour, we mix that with all the other ingredients. We warehouse our own products and even have a small part of the logistic piece. So there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, this is a big facility.
Yeah, and so new people need to learn how that works.
Everything.
Well, but new people traditionally want to make a big effort or a big splash. Well, you hire me, so and people want to change everything, right? Oh, how can we do this? How can we do that? You just kind of cut all that stuff out, give people a schedule for the onboarding process, which by the way, we refer to it as detox, right? And so what we want is the character in our employees, the character of a 4-year-old. Now that sounds pretty crazy.
It really is not that crazy, though.
But if you think about it, to a 4-year-old, everybody's, a friend.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we haven't learned prejudice and all these things that are everywhere. But deep down, it's in everybody to, just bring out this little child in them. This is all sort of meant to sort of teach people how to build relationships that are based on trust and respect, and then learn how to collaborate. And when you can trust the people you're working with, you know that you're going to have their back, they know that you're going to have theirs. People, it's marvelous.
It's the building block. And I love so many of the things you said, first of all, about hiring people who have a childlike way about them, or looking for that in people, because it's friendliness, but it's also curiosity, and it's a lack of pretense, right? So people coming in, and like you said, when you get them when they're just hired and everything is shiny and new and they want to know everything and they have questions, and sometimes even people coming in with fresh eyes, it's like, oh, they see this thing that we've been here all this time and we weren't able to see. But also the point of anchoring on the intangible things versus things like skill set. Because I have always felt, anytime I've been interviewed for a job, I'm like, what are we really talking about here? What we're really talking about is, do I want to be bothered with this person 8 hours a day, 5 days a week? And that is as important as whatever widget or thing you do, because you can teach that. But you can't teach people to be compatible. You can't teach people to be responsible. Like, you either have these things or you don't.
Right. Well, in most businesses, rightly or wrongly, management is viewed as a big deal, don't you know? I'm a big deal, don't you know? You know, that's okay, but there's more. There's another way. I'll go so far as to say it's a better way, in the sense that whatever team you're on, whether it's at a workplace or bowling team or whatever, we've all maybe experienced boy, that team was really together, you know, and we don't think about it, but if you examine it, it's because people trust one another. And you know, why not make it that way if you can? It didn't happen overnight. It probably took about 12 years for me, I guess, to shape the way people, you know, think about who they are and the people that they work with, and aren't afraid to, you know, ask them their opinion. We have this desire, and I say that regardless of what somebody does for us, whether it's hourly person or a salary person, when you're faced with a challenge or an opportunity, I'd like you to go to somebody else, ask him or her what they would do. Two wonderful things happen if you ask authentically and sincerely. The first is, who doesn't like to give their opinion?
I haven't found that person yet.
And then secondly, often the person not doing the task all the time comes up with a great idea just because they're not stuck in the routine.
Yes.
They have more clarity and more objectivity because they're not held to routine. So it's a fascinating thing to maybe experiment with. We're well past the experiment. I mean, we have what we call operation support services, one person on every shift. And the reason we started that is because, you know, we all have baggage every day, right? Some days it's 5 or 6 suitcases and 2 carry-ons. Other days it's just maybe a backpack, right? But you don't want to talk about those things with your quote-unquote supervisor or manager, right? Because there's that symbiotic kind of like, they are in charge and you're not.
Yeah. They've got their hands in your money and, you know.
Your stuff,
yes,
right? I mean,
yes.
Who likes to share their stuff? Nobody, unless it's a safe place.
Yeah.
Right? So, heck, I think we've been doing that 26 years or something like that. We also have 2 people that are in the department called personal development, not personnel, but personal development. So anybody in this company can make an appointment with one of these 2, again, sort of more educated therapists to learn how that they can, you know, try and improve themselves. You know,
Yeah, love that.
love it. So, yeah.
Build with the folks that came here to serve the family mission. Yeah. One of the things you and I talked about when we first chatted on the phone, and when you said it, I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. It's like, y'all don't advertise, you don't do coupons. I've never seen a Jiffy commercial in my life. No. If I can remember, I haven't. And, you know, you don't do a lot of the standard things that companies do in support of marketing their product. And even with food costs, which now are like ridiculously inflated, for the most part, most of the Jiffy items are like under $1 or like right at $1. How have you been able to keep your price relatively low, excuse me, not market in the traditional sense, and still keep the kind of brand relevance that you all have had all these years later?
It's really not complicated. Our objective in the beginning was to create a brand, Jiffy, that was a value and a value brand. And what we mean by value brand is it's the highest quality ingredients and the best price. That's what a value is. Everybody that makes a product or provides a service in some way or another advertises and markets and coupons and blah blah. Well, there's a cost to doing those things, and all of those companies pass on a portion of those costs to the consumer. So realistically, as consumers, we're paying to be influenced. Well, understanding that, by Jiffy not doing those traditional things, we can offer our products at much less money, a better value. And word of mouth is the best advertising there is. So here we are, 95 years into this project, and it still works very well. Because in business, you want to come up with a product or a service that a competition can't copy, right? So since we don't advertise, our quality, I'm not fairly objective. Let's say our quality is as good as anybody else. I think it's better, but let's just say it's as good.
I think it is too.
I'm not trying to be fair to everybody, right? But our price is so much better because we don't pass on a portion of those advertising, marketing prices. And people appreciate that. We believe that, I'll use a term, or the term has been used, working class America deserves a product that's just as good as anybody can get.
Okay.
That's how we do it.
And that's why you do it.
That's why we do it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more important why we do it than how we do it.
Okay. Got it. Listen, word of mouth, I don't know what words from whose mouth. I mean, it's just, I think that's the fun and the wonder of it. It's just a product that many people, certainly me, it's just has always been in any house I've ever lived in my entire life, including growing up at home, my grandparents' homes, and then when I, struck out on my own. It's just a thing that is always in the cupboard, in the cabinet, somewhere in the house.
Well, we hope that continues to be the case for everybody. On behalf of our employees and shareholders, we appreciate everybody. That what makes my heart really warm is when we get, I'm going to use the word letters, but you have to be a certain age to understand what a letter is, instead of a text or instant message.
An email.
Or I guess fax. That doesn't
even
count
fax
anymore.
has gone the way of the past. Okay.
The whole idea, I suppose, of business is to provide a service or product that people appreciate. And however you accomplish that, you could be absolutely certain that there are other people trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's when I say the objective is to get an unfair advantage. Well, our unfair advantage is cost. It costs less. Our products do than the competition, and especially like now, where food prices, as you alluded to or mentioned, are going through the roof, or during COVID, talk about things that were pretty crazy. During that COVID period, our business was crazy busy. Now the retail products are seasonal. People bake much less when it's hot or warm.
Yeah.
And we call it the baking season. It kind of starts in September and goes through January and so on. We also have a food service business. And what separates Jiffy there is our products are complete. In other words, it's just food service. You just add water.
Okay.
Right? So we sell to restaurants, we sell to the U.S. Navy.
Hospitals.
Yeah. Any place that serves food. And even some places that don't, like prisons and things like that, you don't exactly use a menu.
No, you wouldn't be using that.
3 cheeseburgers and some French fries, please.
No, not there. Not there.
That's a small segment of the food service segment, if you will. And if you think of size relationship, think of a softball as being retail business, and then think of a beach ball as food service. That's how much bigger that is. So that's going to be our future growth. We're still going to come up with great ideas for the retail side as well. And we just want to be able to continue to do the right thing as we see it.
Yeah.
And give people value.
Okay. Well, as you have done that in the evolution of time and, customer trends and consumer behaviors are changing. I don't know if you're aware, you probably are. Like there's a school of thought with some people that's like, now that we live in a Food Network culture and people have so much access to culinary instruction and so much access to artisan ingredients, and I can get corn and, grind it myself, and I've got a Vitamix and I can do this, and we can, right? But we have access to all of that.
Do you have the time?
Do you ever feel like, or I should ask you this way, what do you think of the fact that some people are like scoffing at pre-made mixes because now all of the individual things, one, are available, and two, if you didn't have the know-how, you could just jump on YouTube or go on, PBS or go on, the Food Network and kind of learn to do these things on your own?
You could, but I'm not so sure the time element people have that. Yeah, there are different ways to learn things and so on. Mm-hmm. But the one thing about, especially retail, about baking, right? Baking is a wonderful thing to do for someone else. You're doing something emotionally, really. You're preparing someone's food, mm-hmm. And so I don't think the baking or the cooking is ever going to go away. There are always going to be people that, for whatever reason, say, I want to grow my own vegetables. I want to, well, okay, fine, great. But not everybody has that much time available to do it. Mm-hmm. We're in this fast-paced world, right? And whether we like it or not, there's parts of it, to me, which are healthy, and there are more parts that are unhealthy. Mm-hmm. And so food is just one of those things that, by the way, we need to do that. We can't just stop, mm-hmm. and expect to be healthy and go on. I think the more things change, the more things they remain the same. Mm. I think of growing up and the things that I did, and then I saw, as we raised our son, and, the music's not the same. Well, guess what? You still have to eat. Right. Clothes aren't the same. Well, guess what? You still have to eat.
You still got to get dressed. Yeah, all the things.
Yeah, and you still need to eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So our thing is I shouldn't say our thing. That's not very professional. Our approach is make it simple.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, as a person, I do have access to a lot of ingredients, especially living in Northern California. I mean, it's, I've got access. And I absolutely spend my fair share of time watching, America's Test Kitchen, Cook's Country, mm-hmm. all the PBS shows I love, and, traveling to explore food. And I still want to make Jiffy. I have all the ingredients. I have cornmeal, I have flour, I have all the things. And I'm like, I need some Jiffy.
Well, thank you for saying that. And maybe that's a testament to our sort of belief that, quality is important. Mm-hmm. It's easy to do, right? And you end up with a good product.
Yeah.
I mean, this could sound a little goofy, but the irony of my grandmother's comment, I want to make it so easy that a man could do it, think that through. And so if you can read, you have an egg or two and some milk and an oven, turns out perfectly.
Off you
go. No
go.
need to research anything.
Work it out. I told you before we started recording, Christmas 2023, a friend, people who know me, closely, and they've been to my home and stuff. Let me just say this, I'm not here putting on to the degree of which I enjoy this brand, because people who know me and have been in my home know that if I have little else, I will have a box of Jiffy cornbread mix. And she bought me a box set of almost every product you all make. I mean, there was the biscuits, the pizza dough, the corn muffin mix, vegetarian honey, apple cinnamon, blueberry.
Wow.
It was all the things, and it was such an intentional gift, because if you know me, I opened it and it was like, remember when Price is Right and they were open to be like a new car. It was it was that kind of sentiment.
That's a first.
Yes. Not quite a car, but you got my point.
Right. Well said.
Yes. So we talked about this is a big family. Is there still a large family presence running this? Will you find Holmeses all throughout this place?
No, not really. We have family members on our board of directors. We have more independent directors than we have family members. And in terms of, direct Holmes family employees, there are just two, myself and our son Howard.
Okay.
And that's an interesting subject matter, because in the world of family businesses, there are two types of families and two type of beliefs. One is that ownership equals leadership. Well, I don't happen to be in that camp. I'm in the camp that says, no, ownership is something you inherit. Leadership is something you have to earn. Well, these two camps are total opposites, right? And so that, as I said, only 26% family businesses make it to the second generation, and that's one of the biggest reasons that if you're brought up to believe because your last name is Smith and that you're going to have a place at the Smith factory, whatever it is they make, it's the worst thing you can do for a child, or for the employees. So, forgive this, you have to find the right mix. No pun intended. My bad. My bad. And, we enjoy what we're doing. And one of the benefits of creating a workforce that people sort of appreciate one another is that you can't wait to get to work. It's fun, right? 8 hours a day, or 40 hours, or whatever amount of time, it's productive. Most people don't like their job. And it's not that they don't like the company so much, it's that they don't like the fact that their manager or facilitator or supervisor tries to tell their employees how to do their job, when the employees know he or she, as the manager person, can't do the job. But you're stuck.
Yeah.
So you got 8 hours of that. It's not a lot of fun. I think that the whole idea is to continue to evolve, to continue to improve things, and the way that we hire people, and for the reasons that we hire people, business-wise, it's a strategic advantage, because our people are going to outwork anybody, and we know that.
Okay. Well, I heard y'all are going to be outworking lots of people in just a couple of days, because October 1st is going to be the first National Jiffy Mix Day.
Yeah, there's it's pretty. I think it's just marvelous, quite frankly.
I agree.
And a lot of the credit goes to Howard and his team, and so on. As you mentioned, that we don't really do any advertising. Well, this isn't advertising. This is celebrating. But we've been around, thanks to Mabel, for 95 years, so we've got our own day.
All right. What should people like me who love the brand, what should we be ready to do on that day?
I would say, make your favorite Jiffy item.
Okay.
Please.
Okay. That's it. Look, that's an easy thing to do. I think I'll wrap us up with a few fun rapid fire questions, if that's okay.
Yep.
All right. You mentioned make your favorite item. What's your favorite Jiffy Mix item?
It's honeycorn.
Okay. What's something people may not realize they can use Jiffy Mix to make?
Rumor has it that if you take our corn muffin mix and and you add some water to it, it can be used to plug holes.
I didn't know you would go in there.
Well, you said unusual, so there you go.
All right, y'all. Don't waste your cornbread mix. But I mean, if you have a hole, I guess now you can try that out.
You know, when somebody brought that to my attention, all I could see was like, having our products in like hardware stores.
Home Depot.
Right.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
What's your favorite item to mix into your cornbread when you're looking to take it up a notch?
I personally I'm an onion guy. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't tried that. I'll tell you, I went to a restaurant, shout out to King Barbecue in North Charleston, South Carolina. And the theme of the restaurant is a hybrid fusion between traditional Chinese food and Southern American cooking. And they did like a corn pudding, but it had that chili crisp in it. And I immediately was like, let me go home and get my Jiffy and try to recreate this. So I've folded in some of that chili crisp that now you can get in the stores everywhere into cornbread. That is mine.
Well, one of the reasons, there are a lot of products that have, specialty items or different spices or whatever. Part of our other genius, if you will, or luck, was just make it plain, and because different consumers want to add different things. I might be an onion person. Somebody else might be hot peppers. Somebody else might be mushrooms. Who knows?
I never said mushrooms. Okay.
Well, I just kind of made that. It is an unusual.
Mushroom and onion. Okay, don't give me ideas.
Okay.
Get mushroom and onion. That's going to be next on my list. Here's one that I wonder as well. Why are there quotation marks around the name Jiffy?
Great question. And I'm not sure that I can answer that accurately, except to say that that's the way it's always been.
Okay.
And maybe it's to differentiate, because if you Google Jiffy, some would say that it's reference to a speed of light, and they're all different sort of things. So, I think it emphasizes the word a little bit more, the quotations.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that's the right answer.
Okay, we're going to take it. We're going to take it. And here's my last one. I feel like you've answered this along the way, but I will close us out here. You've been here for many years, and business will continue to evolve. What is one thing about Jiffy that will always remain the same?
Our commitment to quality and our commitment to our consumers. Yeah.
All right. That's good business to stand on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me come here today, or allowing me to come here today.
You betcha.
Yeah.
Glad that you are here.
Thank you. Tell people, as if they don't know, but I ask this question at the close of every episode, tell people where they can learn more about Jiffy Mix.
Well, you can go to our website, right? Actually, we have presence in Instagram. I can't name all of them quite. I'm not.
I'll name them for you. I know them.
Okay. Well, then where can you find?
You can find Jiffy on their website. You can find them on Instagram. I'm sure you can find them on Facebook, TikTok. You may not have made it to Threads yet, but if you haven't, have a Threads moment. It's a great place to talk to people.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely. You can definitely find them at my house as well, and hopefully at yours. If you want to keep up with me in between episodes, you can find me at kayinthebay.com or on Instagram at heykayinthebay. That has been this week's episode of the As Told by podcast from Chelsea Milling Company, i.e. Jiffy Mix in Chelsea, Michigan. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. You're a sweetheart.
Thank you. I'll see y'all on the next episode.